The search in the homes of those pilots tonight. A laser-like focus on the pilots now, given that calculated and skilled turn to the left. Tonight, ABC's Bob Woodruff in Kuala Lumpur on that part of the story for us. Bob?
Good evening, David. Those investigators are really digging deep into the backgrounds of those crew members and the passengers, but especially zeroing in on those two pilots. We've now learned that the pilots didn't ask for any extra fuel for the flight and made no special request to fly together, making the idea of a conspiracy between them less likely. But much is still unknown. Investigators in unmarked cars spent the last 2 days going in and out of the gated neighborhood of the 53-year-old pilot, Captain Zahari Ahmed Shah, 4 security guards keeping the reporters from getting in. Okay, so you're not allowed anybody in, any media in?
Yes, boss.
No way? Authorities are tonight concentrating on the flight simulator Zahari put together himself and kept inside his home.
Hi, everyone.
A friend, Peter Chong, told me Zahari is considered a tech geek who invited other friends to use it.
To be able to buy things off the counter and set up his own flight simulator. Yeah, and it's something he's proud of.
That entire simulator has now been taken apart and reassembled, looking for any clues. 2 of the captain's laptop computers are also being scrutinized. It is Zahari's political activities that are raising questions. Zahari is a member of the opposition party in Malaysia with close ties with the party's leader, Anwar Ibrahim, who was jailed the very same day of the flight, March 7th. His friend says that despite Zahari's T-shirt declaring democracy is dead, the pilot is not an extremist. As for the co-pilot, Farik Abdul Hamid, police also searched his home looking for clues, but the scene is hardly secure. Hours before investigators arrived, we watched his 2 brothers leave the house, casually carrying out boxes of noodles and drinks. The families of passengers on that plane are closely watching every development, still holding out remote hope they could be found alive, including the family of that American passenger, of father, Philip Wood, his brother tonight, saying the wait is agonizing.
We've gone from shock and disbelief to sadness to a little bit of anger, frankly. And I think there's a little bit of a drive to get some answers. We're trying really hard to understand what's going on.
This investigation is certainly intensifying. You can imagine, David, how these families are waiting and how painful it has become.
Bob Woodruff on the pilots tonight. Bob, thank you. And as we've done from the start, I want to bring in ABC aviation analyst, retired Colonel Stephen Ganyard, back with us here tonight. And Steve, first I wanted to take viewers at home back to that image there, the pilot with the flight simulator right behind him there. We heard Bob report that that simulator has been taken from the home. What can we learn from it, Steve?
I think, David, what they will do, they will go back and look for some criminal forensics. In that, was there a premeditation? Did he go in and type in some of these routes and practice some of these routes that we saw on the actual flight itself? So that's what they'll do. They'll look for something that will say he's been practicing or thinking about this.
And of course, that pre-programmed left turn, the reason why there's such increasing focus on those pilots tonight. But you and I were talking earlier, Steve. You say their voice inside that cockpit after that move also very telling.
Yes, it's very interesting, David. The first thing they did was to type in a new waypoint, a new turn direction off to the west by 90 degrees to take them off their pre-programmed route. Right after they did that, they talked to some air traffic controllers, and their voice was very calm, just nothing to be concerned about here, just a normal flight heading to Beijing. So we see continuing instances of premeditation in that cockpit all along the way.
Plays into that premeditation theory. And of course, the headlines this weekend, Steve, exploring the idea that that cockpit could have been cyber hijacked with a cell phone, a computer. Is that even a possibility?
It's a possibility, David, but I think the 777-200 is still a mechanically flown airplane. It has lots of computers on board. So maybe in the future, with some of the newer airplanes like the 787 or the A350 that are coming online, some of those airplanes that are totally flown by computers, that'll be a concern. But I think in this case, with this airplane and this flight, it probably was not a factor.
Stephen Ganyard with us tonight. Steve, we always appreciate your insight. And tonight, outside the homes of those pilots, still quite a presence. Authorities questioning their family members, anyone who knew them. But noticeably absent from the investigation, American authorities. The FBI offering to help, so why aren't they? For that part of the story tonight, we turn to ABC's senior justice correspondent Pierre Thomas, right there in our Washington bureau tonight. And Pierre, the FBI not allowed in yet?
No, David, they're still not there. I spoke to a senior law enforcement official this evening, and he tells me the FBI still has not been invited in despite their offer to help. They really want to assist because they bring sophisticated forensic capabilities. One of the biggest things they can do is vacuum clean computers, even information that's been deleted. And they're among the best at digging into complicated cases just like this one.
And Pierre, as you know, last night here we asked Stephen Ganyard, could that plane be sitting somewhere? Did it possibly land somewhere undetected? He said it is a possibility, though very unlikely. But I'm curious, are American authorities at all worried about that slim possibility and that perhaps the jet could one day be used as a weapon?
Nothing is really off the table, although that possibility is considered remote. There are two reasons. One, so far, no indication a terrorist organization is involved, and sources point out that whoever took that plane had every chance to crash it into a populated area and apparently chose not to. But until that plane is found, like I said, nothing is completely off the table, David.
All right, Pierre Thomas in Washington with us tonight. Pierre, thank you. Our coverage of Flight 370 this Sunday evening. More at abcnews.com throughout the night and first thing in the morning with Robin and George on Good Morning America.